We are talking about the Directory, 1795 to 1799. The Directory was the next government that came to power after the demise of the convention. The Directory was led by 5 directors, and these directors were supposed to resign annually. And after the resignation of one director, that director was supposed to be replaced by someone who was supposed to be chosen from the House of the Deputies or from the Legislative Assembly. They started to use a white color flag, and they to say that this white color flag, it symbolized peace as opposed to terror and bloodshed which had occurred during the time of the convention. When the Directory came to power, they faced a number of problems. Number one, there were so many uprisings that were taking place in the country. The people were always rising against the government. The price of bread were always increasing. People were no longer in a position of purchasing basic commodities. They were not in a position of purchasing bread, and they rose time and again against the Directory. This became a problem to the Directory because instead of solving this problem that the people were facing, it had to use violence to suppress the revolts that were taking place. Another problem that they faced was that of the Bebefu conspirators. Bebefu believed in socialism and communism. He wanted to do away with the Directory. He was arrested, and later on he was guillotined. He became a martyr. So the killing of Bebefu also became a problem of the Directory. Another problem that they faced was that of the narrow franchise. Franchise was narrow, so many people were not in a position of voting. They also faced a problem of censoring the newspapers. The newspapers were censored. They did not truly reflect or truly publish what was taking place in the country. The system of justice was also another problem. It was pathetic. People were not tried by jury. This led the Directory also to become unpopular. The directors were corrupt. They used bribes to bribe the people to retain their positions. For example, during the entire 4 years of the Directory, Barras remained at the helm of the Directory by using bribes so that he could retain his position. The Directory, when they came to power in 1795, they had to do away with the assignats. They introduced a new paper money which was known as the mandate. This mandate that they introduced lost value as soon as it was introduced. The price of goods skyrocketed. So as a result of this, people started to face serious problems of food shortages. They could not purchase the basic commodities. This became a serious problem of the Directory, and it explains why later on it became unpopular. Another problem that was faced by the Directory economically was that of unemployment. They failed to do anything to create employment in the country. The rate of unemployment was high in the country, and this possibly explains why uprisings were the order of the day. It was because a number of youths were not employed. They did not have anything to do in the country. Let's move on and talk about the social problems. The Directory faced problems. Number one, they were morally corrupt or they were sexually corrupt. For example, the wife of Talleyrand was Barras' mistress. By being sexually corrupt or morally corrupt, it led the Directory also to lose support from the people. The Directory did not do anything to maintain the good relations that used to exist between the state and the church. The relations between the state and the church were antagonized during the convention. The convention had introduced atheism, which was unpopular. When the Directory came to power, they did not do anything to create good relations between them and the state. This again explains why it was unpopular. Number three, the issue of the French law. The French law still remained haphazard. The laws had been suggested during the course of the revolution, but nothing was done by the Directory to improve the French laws. And by not improving the French laws, it explains why later on Napoleon had to rise to power. the issue of the land. The Directory did not do anything to repossess the lands that the people wanted. Although people were given land during the course of the French Revolution, but still land was not enough. They still needed more land, and the Directory did not do anything to give people more land. And this again explains why it was unpopular. Let's move on and talk about the foreign policy. On the foreign policy, we are going to look on the Egyptian campaign. The Directory, under the influence of their military leader, who was known as Napoleon Bonaparte, tried to set a blockade of the British ships that passed through Egypt, that passed through the Suez Canal. They tried to do this, and however, this was not a success. But on the part of the French people, it was a success because Napoleon had guts to challenge a big power in the name of Britain. Britain was a naval power during this time. It was one of the great powers in Europe, and Napoleon, by having that courage to challenge, set a blockade of the British ships, led the Directory to be viewed as a success on this Egyptian campaign. Number two, the Italian campaign. When Napoleon rose to become an army general, he had to declare war against Austria. Austria controlled a number of areas in Italy, such as Lombardy and Venetia, Parma, Modena and Tuscany, Naples and Sicily. So Napoleon declared war against Austria, and when he declared war against Austria, Austria was defeated in this war, and Napoleon had forced Austria to sign a treaty, and by signing a treaty, we see that Austria's areas in Italy were taken away. The success on the Italian campaign, it led Napoleon to get a lot of power from the people in the country, and it also explains why later on he rose to power. Downfall of the Directory. Several factors explains why the downfall of the Directory occurred in 1799. One of the factors was the rise of Napoleon Bonaparte, the charisma of Napoleon, who is described as a man of destiny, who is described as a man who was energetic, a man who was thirsty for success, led to the demise of the Directory. Napoleon, after the Egyptian campaign, he staged a coup d'etat. He tried to overthrow the government, but however, on this incident, he was not successful. On the second incident, he staged another coup d'etat, and this coup d'etat was a success. He was assisted by his brother to stage this coup d'etat, and when he overthrew the Directory, it ushered a new era in the history of France. Therefore, our next topic is going to be the rise of Napoleon Bonaparte. Thank you.